What's going on, guys? Back with another one. Um, I before I made this, thinking of making this video, I already had the topic of external validation. It just was a download that I thought was a good topic to talk about. I'm gonna run with it. But as I begin to think about certain things that consist of external validation, I started beginning to realize that if you were such as myself, grew up into any religion, any theology, it doesn't even matter. Judaism, Christianity, Islamic, Catholicism, they all still have the same one condition they all can relate to, and it's an external validation. I began to realize that, if you really look into, I'm sure everyone's aware that's watching this has been influenced by some sort of theology that, like a religion, and you're told that you're born into sin. You're told that you're this flawed person who's unworthy of reaching God, and you must walk a certain path to reach Him, right? But if you really think about it, they're just conditioning us to have a form of external validation. You're supposed to, please something outside of you, which is a form of external validation. I began to realize, you're taught that you're just this person who is unworthy, who's evil, or whatever you want to say, who's not perfect. And in order to achieve grace, you must validate yourself from something external. And maybe that's why all of us growing up have that condition of chasing that external validation. I had that problem. I'm sure many others do. I've had it. You're gonna still struggle with it sometimes. We're all human, but it seems like we've been conditioned since a kid, like a form of a manipulation. Like whoever's behind all this knew what they were doing when it comes down to this. Like, yeah, they're different religions, they're divided, but yet they still have the same form, And I began to realize that, like, wow, maybe that was our beginning point of us being conditioned to wanting external validation. I'm not just saying religion was our start, I'm not going to just say that, but if you think about it, if you went to church or if you were influenced by this, that was like the starting point of thinking external validation is the right thing to do, And it's kind of crazy because it's like, wow, this whole time, you're trying to please, be right, be a good person, not for yourself, but for something outside of you. And it's like, whoa. Yeah, that's a mind blower too. I just had that, just thinking about that before I was gonna make this video on this topic, and it's just like, whoa, it hit me real quick. I'm sure a lot of people have had that epiphany too, but yeah, I just felt like this video was necessary to make about that, and the acceptance and the rejection, where we can't control our emotions sometimes. On that, if we get rejected, say you had a girl that you try to hit up or whatever, and it didn't go your way, and you just feel like, man, what's wrong with me? You know what I mean? But it's like, the only thing that's wrong with you is the insecurities you have inside of yourself, the internal work. Just like I said in my previous video, God's inside you, God not outside of you, And it all clicks into this video of external validation. Like, there's nothing outside of us that makes it, there's nothing outside of us that should be, you're not supposed to please something outside of you. Not saying you're not supposed to, sorry about that. I'm just saying, like, it's not healthy, if you don't have the internal work, how are you even going to please others too? Because, you're not situated yourself, Sorry, I'm going all over the place, scattering around, but just trying to figure out the right words to say, But I know you guys can feel the message, You guys get what I'm saying. But yeah, like, just being accepted. We just need to be accepted outside of us, and it's always been that programming that we've had throughout our lives. And it's time to get to the root of causes, and I think that's one of them. We've been influenced as a kid to always please others, and there's nothing wrong with like pleasing your mom, pleasing your dad, doing stuff, doing good things to please others like that. But if it's affecting you internally and it's making you exhausted, then there's a problem. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem with a lot of people. You have anyone who has girlfriends, anyone who has a boyfriend, whoever's watching this, if you're getting exhausted pleasing your significant other and you're not doing the right work for yourself, get you right before, then there's a problem, man. There's nothing wrong. I don't think we've been programmed to think, thinking for ourselves all the time is selfishness. And we got to rewire that, and yeah, you got to start learning how to understand rejection. Hey, sometimes they're not going to be happy, talking about your significant other or your parents, just because you're not doing something, all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's draining you, they don't think, you got to start thinking for yourself sometimes. I've been caught up with that too. And it's like I said, there's nothing wrong with, doing good things for others, doing a little extra, that's part of having a relationship. But if it's exhausting you and it's stressing you out and it's not being reciprocated, because sometimes it's not being reciprocated, the amount you put in, it's like, you got to start thinking for yourself. So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And we struggle with that. We struggle with needing to feel validated from everyone. And it's like, oh man, I know it's hard. It's hard to love ourselves sometimes. We're in a struggle, but I think starting small, starting little by little will get you places. And yeah, it's not good. I think people need to start, that's why people that's why people go to the gym. They get brokenhearted. They go to the gym, most guys, to start getting themselves right. They begin to have that little revelation, but then sometimes they fall short with another girl hits them up, or they start looking for another girl, and then that's when it goes downhill. It's like a cycle, it's like, let's start doing the internal work before we get into any of these kind of relationships, to understand, because I think it'll give you more clarity to your next relationship if you do the internal work and you start focusing on yourself. A lot of people end up working out with relationships later on because they understand the balance of pleasing themselves before they please others, and yeah, I think we've been getting it all wrong for a long time, and it's not our fault. We've just been influenced in this world since we were little, and now I think it's time to change. We're getting older, we're being more conscious, we're being more aware, people are being more enlightened, about self-love and stuff. And obviously this message is being spread all around, and I just feel like I'm contributing in that message. If anyone sees this as any advice, it's up to you guys. Take that message and using it. It took me a while to figure that out. It's a form of dopamine too, getting messages from girls, seeing that they text you back, and you just, oh man, she texts me back, what do I do? You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny because when you start ignoring external things like that, they start attracting you even more too. Like when you stop caring, it comes to you tenfold. But when you're invested, you're always invested in this one particular thing, it seems like it's drifting away from you. And that's the part of it, man. It's that law of attraction consists of. And I think we just got to work on that and set a balance. Yeah. I just felt like I needed to make this video. and talk about this topic, and we gotta learn that sometimes acceptance isn't the best thing for us. Maybe rejection is better, to teach us. Sometimes we think acceptance is better than rejection, but sometimes rejection will teach you more. How do you learn if you're getting accepted all the time? It's just a bunch of dopamine, bunch of stuff. Feels good for a little bit when it's temporary. That we all know that doesn't last. And yeah, I hope whoever's whoever's watching this has a great day moving forward, and I hope you guys take some insight and use it in your guys' life. I know I'm working on it and I'm still going through it, but it was just a message that needs to be said. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the other video, man. Peace.